transformation of this chapter, we're talking about rotations, okay? Go ahead and write these down on the front page of your notes. I'm going to give you some little things to follow. So if I say 90 degrees clockwise, okay, the rule you're going to follow for that one is my original coordinate xy gets turned into y negative x. Okay, these are just little formulas that we're going to follow. Okay, if I say, or let's do a little example with that. If I have 4, 2, my new coordinate would be 2, negative 4. Does that make sense how I did that right there? Just followed what it said. Yeah. This one, 90 degrees counterclockwise. I have my original xy is changed to negative yx. If I do an example of that, 4, 2 is changed to what? Negative 2, 4. Yep. And then if I do 180 degrees, this is the last one. 180 degrees, the rule of that one is the nicer one. All it does is switch signs. Okay, so if I do, I'm going to switch this one up. If I do 4, negative 2, what does that turn into? Negative 4, 2. Yep, if it's positive, turns to negative. If it's negative, turns to positive. Okay, keep those handy. If I have a graph here, and I have this shape, what is going to be the same with all of these is that we're rotating around the same point. We're always going to be rotating about the origin. The reason I specify that and the reason it's important is because when you're rotating, this distance here is always going to remain the same. Okay, that distance will never change as you're rotating it. When we're rotating, are we just moving it? No. Okay, rotating, we are actually turning the image. Okay, so the image is changing. However, it is still a rigid motion. Okay, the shape and the size is going to stay the same. Okay, its orientation is just going to change. Clockwise and counterclockwise. What way is this? Clockwise. What way is this? Counterclockwise. Good. Okay. How many quadrants do I move for 90 degrees? One quadrant. Yep. So 90 degrees would be one quadrant. How many for 180? 180 would be 2. I would go to the opposite one that I started at. Good. What about 270? It would be 3. If I told you to rotate this image 270 degrees clockwise, where would it land? It would land right here. Okay, if it lands here, what is that the same as? 90 degrees counterclockwise. So if you are asked about 270, it is pretty similar to 90 degrees. So 90 degrees clockwise is the same thing as 270 degrees counterclockwise. And 90 degrees counterclockwise is similar to 270 degrees clockwise. Okay, so if you're ever given 270, it correlates to the 90, just depends on what direction. Okay? I didn't put clockwise or counterclockwise with 180 is because it doesn't matter. Okay? On page Y. Example 1 asks, do you think a rotated image would ever coincide and or be the same with the original figure? Could we rotate a figure so that it is the same spot or ends in the same place as the original? 360, right? Yep, that's exactly what the answer is. That would be true if we rotated it 360 degrees. Now, with 180 or 360, doesn't matter if I tell you clockwise or counterclockwise. No, because it's going to be the same no matter what direction you go. Okay, so the reason on looking at number 2, this notation here, like I said, this book notates things a little differently. That reads rotation 180 degrees around the origin. Okay, that's what that reads. So the rule we said for that one was xy goes to, I'm on 2a right now, xy goes to negative x, negative y for that rule. Okay. Real quick, the bottom one, I'm going to change that 270. I'm going to change that to 90 degrees clockwise. If I put 1c, that means clockwise. If I put 2 c's, that means counterclockwise. Okay. Change that last one to 90 degrees clockwise. If we do that, the 90 degrees clockwise rule is negative y x. 90 degrees clockwise. Sorry, nope. It's y negative x. Okay. What I want you to do is take those 3 points that they listed for you, x, y, and z, and I want you to do a and b with those points. All you're doing is just switching those points using the formula we wrote down. With the 180 degrees around the origin, we're going to follow the red rule I wrote up there. When we graph these, what do we label the new points?
Prime.
Prime, right? So I have x prime. What is my new x prime coordinate for 180? Thank you. Yep, 4, negative 7. What about y prime? 0, negative 8. Is there such thing as negative 0? No. Okay, so 0 will just stay 0. What about z prime? Negative 2, 1. Thank you. Questions on the 180? Those ones you're just switching signs. 90 degrees clockwise. What is my x prime? 7, 4. Yep, positive 4. If it's negative, it turns to positive. If it's positive, it turns to negative. What's y prime? 8, 0. Again, is there such thing as negative 0? No. What about z prime? Negative 2, but that y is going to stay a negative 1. Yep. Good. Use that T point as the origin. I want you to draw an X and a Y axis. Use that T as the origin. I want you to draw an X and Y axis. Okay. On yesterday's assignment, I had you write rules specifically for reflections and translations. Okay. Now we're going to write rules for rotations. So I'm going to tell you, I want this one to be the pre-image, and this one is your new image. When we're writing rules for rotations, all you need to tell me is how many degrees it's moving and what direction. Okay? So I need how many degrees it's moving and what direction. I want you to try this one on your own, and then we're going to talk about it. Okay, how many quadrants did it move? Say it louder. I hear 3. Did anybody say anything different? 1. Both of them are correct. Okay, let's talk about the 1 first. If you said it moved 1 quadrant, how many degrees is that? 90 degrees. And then what direction? Counterclockwise. If you said 3, you are also correct. How many degrees is it if you moved 3 this way? 270. And what direction? Clockwise. Yep, so both of those are correct. You do not have to show me both. I just need to see one. Okay. Okay, on number 6, draw your X and Y axis with T as the origin again. Draw your X and Y axis with T as the origin.
P or T?
T.
P
Number 6. Don't do number 5. Number 6. What do you notice about the shape on this problem? It's in the middle, right? Rotations are still the same no matter if it's on a axis or if it's perfectly in a quadrant. Okay? It's still going to move the same. If I say 90 degrees clockwise, where is this picture going to end up? It's going to end up right here, right? It's going to end up in the middle of this axis. Okay? If I say 180, rotate 180 degrees, where's it going to end up? It's going to end up over here. Okay? When we're rotating 180 degrees, this is the common misconception that people have. They reflect it. Is that the same thing as rotating? No. Okay? Reflecting is not the same as rotating. Reflecting is just flipping it. Rotating, we're actually turning that image so it will look different. Okay? If I turn this image 180 degrees, is C going to end up here or down here? It's going to end up here. Okay? If I reflected this, is C up here where it's supposed to be if you rotated it? No. That's why reflecting 180, that's why rotating 180 and reflecting is not the same thing. Okay? Look at number 7. On number 7, it tells you 180 degrees about the origin. You're going to do the same thing we did earlier. Change those points. On number 8, I want you to do 90 degrees counterclockwise. Go do 7 and 8 right now. So 7 is 180 degrees. 8 is 90 degrees counterclockwise. 9 and 10 here. Go ahead and draw your X and Y axis on both of those. Yep, with those points being your origin. Okay, I want you to explain what's happening there, what rotation is happening. It does tell you which one the original and the new are. So be on the lookout for those. On number 9, how many quadrants is it moving? 1, or you could have said 3. Okay. How many degrees is it if it's 1 quadrant? 90. Which one's my original image, left or right? Yep, left. So we're going this way, which is counterclockwise. Yep. If you said 3, how many degrees is 3? 270. And that one would be clockwise. Good. Last one here. Which one's my original, right or left? Yep. How many quadrants? 1. If you said this way, 1 is how many degrees? 90 counterclockwise. And 3 would be 270 clockwise. Tell me what's wrong with that one. Anything? All right, on number 7, 180 degrees. What is my rule over there? What happens to my original XY? What happens to them? What'd you say? The negative signs, right? Yep, switches signs. So what's my G prime? -2, +9, good. H prime? 1, -3, thank you. What's my rule for 90 degrees counterclockwise? Yep, -y, x. What's my x prime? -3, 0, good. Y prime? 4, 1, good. And then the last one, z prime? -2, 5, thank you.